The Krillian warships descended through Zetha Prime's crimson atmosphere like falling stars, their hulls gleaming with the promise of annihilation. Commander Vexhai of the Galactic Defense Corps watched from his command bunker as the orbital bombardment reduced another city to ash and memory. The evacuation ships had launched 3 cycles ago, carrying the last of the civilian population to safety. But the military garrison remained, a skeleton crew of 800 souls against an armada. "Sir?" Lieutenant Chorus approached, his scaled features grim. "The northern perimeter has fallen. They're advancing on all fronts." Vexhai's mandibles clicked in frustration. The Krillians had chosen their target well. Zetha Prime was strategically vital but lightly defended, a perfect demonstration of their renewed aggression after the peace accords had failed. The Corps had expected months to reinforce the system. They'd gotten days. "And the human?" Vexhai asked. "Still in the eastern sector, sir, with it." The commander's 4 eyes focused on the tactical display. A single blue dot pulsed in what should have been enemy territory. Marcus Chen, the only human in their unit, the only soldier crazy enough to venture into the Deadlands where the ancient Zalathi slumbered. Marcus knelt beside the massive form, his gloved hand resting on scales that had once shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, but now lay dull and cracked. The Zalathi was dying, had been dying for decades since the industrial mining operations poisoned its territory. The creature was easily 50 meters long, a serpentine giant with 6 legs and a head crowned with sensory frills that had once allowed it to commune with every living thing on the planet. The human's tactical display showed red dots converging on his position, Krillian shock troops moving fast through the wasteland. His rifle held maybe 30 shots. His sidearm another 15. Against an entire company of enemy soldiers, it might as well be harsh language. "Hey there, beautiful," Marcus whispered to the Zalathi, his voice carrying the gentleness he'd learned from his grandmother, who'd spoken to dying horses on their farm. "I know you're tired. I know it hurts." The creature's massive eye, clouded with age and toxicity, shifted to regard him. In its depths, Marcus saw intelligence, ancient, wounded, but undimmed. "They're coming to finish what they started," he continued, checking his weapons charge. "Your world, my friends. We're all going to die today unless someone does something stupid." The Zalathi's breathing was labored, each inhalation a struggle against the pollutants that had accumulated in its system over the decades. The mining consortium had strip-extracted rare minerals from the eastern continent, leaving behind a toxic wasteland that slowly poisoned everything that lived there. Marcus pulled out his medkit and found the emergency stimulant, military grade, designed to keep soldiers fighting past the point of collapse. He looked at the injection cartridge, then at the dying giant. "In my culture," he said, "we have stories about partnerships, about impossible friendships. A mouse helping a lion, a boy and his dragon." He loaded the stimulant into his rifle's auxiliary port, converting it into a delivery system. "We believe that sometimes when everything seems lost, the most unlikely allies can change everything." The Krillian advance scouts crested the ridge 300 meters away. Marcus could see their powered armor gleaming in the planet's dual suns, their plasma weapons already charging. "I don't know if this will work," Marcus admitted, positioning the modified rifle against the Zalathi's neck, where the scales were softest. "But I know what they did to your home, and I know they're not going to stop here." The creature's eye met his, and for a moment Marcus felt something pass between them. Not telepathy exactly, but understanding. Recognition of shared loss, shared determination. "Fight with me," he whispered, and pulled the trigger. The stimulant flooded the Zalathi's system like liquid lightning. The creature's massive frame convulsed, muscles that had been slack with resignation suddenly flooding with artificial vitality. The sensory frills along its head blazed to life, casting brilliant patterns of blue and gold across the wasteland. The Zalathi rose. Marcus had expected movement. Maybe the creature would thrash, buy him a few extra seconds. He hadn't expected the earth to shake as 50 meters of apex predator surged to its full height. Hadn't expected the roar that shattered rock formations and sent the advance scout stumbling backward in terror. "That's it!" Marcus laughed, raising his rifle as the Zalathi's tail swept through the Krillian formation like a living bulldozer. "Show them what this world can do." The creature's renewed vigor was infectious. It moved with fluid grace despite its size, using its intimate knowledge of the terrain to devastating effect. When plasma bolts struck its hide, The Zalathi redirected the energy through its bioluminescent organs, turning wounds into weapons as stored bioelectricity discharged in crackling arcs. Marcus fought alongside his unlikely ally, using the creature's massive form as mobile cover while picking off enemies with precise shots. The Krillians had trained to fight conventional forces. They had no protocols for dealing with a human and a resurrected planetary guardian working in perfect synchronization. "Command, this is Marcus," he called into his comm as he reloaded. "I've got good news and bad news." Vexhi's voice crackled back. "Let's hear it." "Human. Bad news, the eastern sector is completely overrun." Marcus rolled aside as the Zalathi's head swept past, its jaws snapping up 3 Krillian soldiers. "Good news, I made a friend." The battle raged for 6 hours. The stimulant's effects began to fade as the planet's sun set, but by then reinforcements from the Galactic Defense Corps had arrived. The Krillian fleet, faced with unexpected resistance and the arrival of a full battle group, retreated to regroup. Marcus found himself sitting against the Zalathi's flank as medics tended to his wounds. The creature's breathing was even more labored now, the stimulant having burned through its remaining reserves. "Thank you," he said quietly, his hand once again resting on the dimming scales. "You saved us all." The Zalathi's eye found his one last time, and Marcus could have sworn he saw something like peace there. The creature's final breath was a sigh that seemed to carry the gratitude of an entire world. Later, when the Corps historians asked Marcus to explain how he'd known the stimulant would work, how he'd managed to communicate with an alien creature, he could only shrug. "Sometimes," he said, "you just have to believe that nobody fights alone. Not if they don't have to." The statue they erected in the Deadlands showed 2 figures, a human soldier and a planetary guardian, side by side against the stars. The inscription, translated into 100 languages, bore Marcus's words. "In the darkest hour, even the dying can choose to rise."